MMA Fighting presents Timeline. Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Asakura. January 28th, 2017. UFC on Fox 23, Shevchenko versus Pena, Denver, Colorado. After a stint as a cast member of the reality competition television show The Ultimate Fighter, which included exhibition victories over future UFC champion Brandon Moreno and future UFC top contender Kai Kara France, Pantoja is booked in his first official UFC fight against the 10-2 Eric Shelton. Pantoja wins by split decision. Pantoja would go on to win his next matchup the following July by submitting Neil Seery in Glasgow, Scotland at UFC Fight Night Nelson vs. Ponzinibbio. January 20th, 2018. UFC 220 Miocic vs. Ngannou, Boston, Massachusetts. Pantoja is booked on his first pay-per-view card opposite veteran Dustin Ortiz.
And he hits his mark. That's 125.5 for Dustin Ortiz, competing on Saturday night's card against Alexandre Pantoja. Alexandre Pantoja steps onto the scale. Thank you very much to my colleague Guilherme Cruz for that pronunciation. Alexandre Pantoja, and he hits his mark, 126 for the Cannibal. You saw his opponent moments ago. In fact, he was the first person to step on the scale, Dustin Ortiz. There's the Cannibal, Alexandre Pantoja.
Pantoja would suffer his first official UFC loss, losing a competitive decision. However, the 28-year-old Brazilian would bounce back with an exciting decision victory over Brandon Moreno on the prelims for UFC Fight Night Maia vs. Usman in Santiago, Chile. The winning streak would continue with the first-round submission victory over Japanese flyweight Ulka Sasaki at UFC Fight Night Magny vs. Ponzinibbio in Buenos Aires, Argentina. April 13th, 2019. UFC 236 Poirier vs. Holloway 2, Atlanta, Georgia. Pantoja is booked against former title contender Wilson Hayes. Pantoja wins by first-round knockout.
What performances stood out to you on this undercard?
Pantoja, that's the number 4 guy just got knocked out, and Pantoja number 5. In normal, sane times, that earns you a title shot. He's on a good little run here. That's definitely not going to happen for him next, not the least because kind of his friend Henry Cejudo currently holds the belt, although they do seem like they'd be willing to fight down the line somewhere.
You know, the flyweight division is in a bit of a weird place right now. No one really knows the future of it. You're 5-1 in this division. What do you think should happen next?
I think this division, I don't know because I'm fight, but it's the best fight in the world, you know. See you go to the UFC and you flyweight guy, you need to know grappling and strike, because I see a lot of heavyweights don't have grappling, you know. A lot of heavyweights maybe have a good grappling but not have a good strike, you know. You know, he's fight for one punch. But to go to the flyweight, every guy need to know grappling and strike, because everybody's good, you know. Because every fight's close, you know. See, people don't like fight good techniques. Yeah, you need to done the flyweight. But you see, man, you have knockdowns, you have good submissions, you know. I don't know, see it makes sense, you know. I say, fuck, I fight to like the best guys in the world, you know. I want the best, you know. Give him the best, you know. I improve my game now, you know. I have a good team in my back. American top team. I'm ready for everyone, you know. I'm ready to the title, you know.
July 27th, 2019. UFC 240 Holloway vs. Edgar, Edmonton, Alberta. Pantoja is set to face top contender and future champion Davison Figueiredo on the prelims in Canada.
125.5 Alexandre Pantoja, number 3 flyweight in the world.
Pantoja would lose by decision, but the bout is awarded the fight of the night by the UFC.
You didn't talk about Figueiredo and Pantoja.
Flyweights? Are they flyweights?
Yeah.
And the UFC has flyweights?
And we're gonna talk about them because that fight ruled. That was just chaos. I mean, I tweeted.
And one fight of the night?
Figueiredo is basically the human equivalent of a wood chipper. I mean, he just like beat the tar off Pantoja. But that fight was awesome. I mean, that fight, the one fight of the night, And in my personal opinion and professional opinion, that fight ruled. I mean, Figueiredo came in and he was just clubbing him, and then he won in very impressive fashion. Came back, said he felt he was on the prelims because he couldn't speak English. And then Dana White was quick to say, well, like Anderson didn't really speak English, and he main evented how many pay-per-views? So said that Henry Cejudo was probably scared to come back to flyweight and fight these new flyweights, specifically him. Said he would like to fight the winner of Henry Cejudo versus Joseph Benavidez for the flyweight title. And if that doesn't happen, because Henry Cejudo did have shoulder surgery, if he's out and then he defends his bantamweight title or defends his flyweight title, say he wins, and then goes back to bantamweight, that's a long wait. He said Figueiredo is like, I want an interim title and I should fight for it. So I can't argue with him. Outside of those top two, he's clearly the third best flyweight in the world. Flyweight in the UFC, because Demetrius Johnson was close to flyweight. So top four flyweights in the world. So I'm very impressed with both guys in a division that a year ago we were questioning whether it would exist in a year. And now all of a sudden, Henry Cejudo's breathed life into it. Joseph Benavidez gets a knockout win. Figueiredo puts on another unbelievable performance.
And Pantoja, credit to Pantoja, he was in there.
Absolutely, credit to Pantoja. That fight again ruled. So can't say enough good things about that fight.
Yeah, I'm Jose. I'm embarrassed now that I didn't bring it up.
Apology accepted.
However, maybe I would have been more ready to bring it up if it had been on the main card where it belonged. It was great. It was on ESPN, so I hope a lot of people tuned in and watched that fight for free on ESPN. But it would have been nice if people who paid their hard-earned money for the pay-per-view got treated to an absolute banger in Figueiredo and Pantoja. So
Pantoja would bounce back from the loss by knocking out Matt Schnell in South Korea the following December. Pantoja would also receive Performance of the Night honors for the KO. The winning streak, however, would come to an end in July of 2020, as Pantoja drops a decision to Askar Askarov on Fight Island. July 30th, 2022, UFC 277, Pena vs. Nunes 2, Dallas, Texas. After picking up a victory over top contender Manel Kape in February 2021, and a Performance of the Night submission victory over another top contender in Brandon Royval, Pantoja is booked for the first time on the main card of a pay-per-view against top-ranked Alex Perez.
I think it's a good opportunity for me and for Alex now, you know. The title is there, you know. The champion, Davidson, is vacation all life now. You know, he's look big. Maybe he don't back to this year, you know. And I think that fight with Alex is like a who's the next fight for the title, you know.
In a breakout performance, Pantoja finishes Perez in just 90 seconds, earning himself another $50,000 performance bonus, and more importantly, his first UFC title shot.
Yeah, I need to say thanks for all the guys, the old school guys, like John Moraga, you know, Demetrius Johnson, John Dodson, Joe Benavidez. And I'm happy to be a part of the new flyweight, you know, that's the new division. With guys like Kai Kara France, is a phenomenal guy. Breno Moreno is a Manel Kape now, beautiful fighters. Matt Schnell last month make a beautiful fight with Su, the China's guy. Both brilliant fighters, you know. And I'm very happy to be a part of that, you know. When you see flyweight, you can see knockouts, finish, and always interesting fight, you know, never boring fight. You're never gonna see one flyweight in the last round like a die, you know. It's a boring fight. And that's it, the new generation, bro.
July 8th, 2023, UFC 290, Volkanovski versus Rodriguez, Las Vegas, Nevada. Now riding a 3-fight win streak, Pantoja is booked as the challenger to face the champion Brandon Moreno.
Man, for sure he's a very dangerous opponent as before, because he's mature, he has more experience, and he's very motivated. And I think that's the key, you know? I was saying this yesterday actually, like with Figueiredo, for example, he was like dumb to fight with me, like, oh, I'm sick to fight with Moreno again. But Pantoja is like excited, like I wanna cut his hair and whatever. He's scared, so that makes me feel makes him dangerous. So man, I'm ready for the challenge.
I'm curious, what do you make of his growth in the octagon as a champion? First, I don't understand this hate about me. I'm a very good fighter. I respect Moreno. I respect his family. You know about that. But Saturday night is gonna be very special. 5 rounds. It's gonna be a war. I know have Volk and Yair and the semi card is hard to get the fight of the night, but that's what I want. I want to make the fight of the night, make a beautiful show for everybody. And I feel happy for all that. That's putting the fight more hype. I appreciate all that. Thank you, guys.
In a Fight of the Year contender, and arguably the greatest flyweight title fight of all time, Pantoja wins via split decision and becomes the new UFC flyweight champion.
Pantoja gets it done. The moment with his kids and his wife and his family reacting, the post-fight interview, are you proud of me now, Dad? Are you proud of me now? Like, all of it was just magic. What a fight. Ice cold post-fight.
I don't know if that's ice cold or like haunting. That was like, that hit me right here in a really profoundly sad way.
Yeah, well, I was wondering what was keeping this man alive while Brandon Moreno was hitting him in the face with sledgehammers for 25 minutes, and I think we might have found some motivation here. But talk about the fight, Shaheen, Pantoja's performance, the durability of this man, how he kept coming back, like everything about this fight is one I'm going to go back and watch again and again and again.
I'll tell you what, Mike Heck, it continues to just be comical to me that the UFC almost threw this division into the trash just because Demetrius Johnson had the temerity to stand up for himself against the UFC's obsession with TJ Dillashaw during that whole situation like 4 or 5 years ago. Because all the flyweights have done since then is just put up fight of the year contender after fight of the year contender after fight of the year contender. Just over and over and over again, this division continues to prove why it should exist and why I'm so glad that it continues to exist. And tonight was no different, man. Like this tremendous theater through and through. I ultimately scored it 4-1 for Pantoja. That to me felt like the proper scorecard, giving Brandon Moreno the second round. But man, like Brandon Moreno made this man work for it. Like the depths to which this became a war of attrition by the end of it. It's just incredible anytime you could see two athletes really put it all out there like this. It's also cool to me to see, because I've said this before I think on different things that we've done, shows, writing, etc. But like, to me, Pantoja was always the guy who sort of was the biggest loser during this whole detour this flyweight division took for this 4-fight series between Moreno and Figueiredo, right? Like Pantoja has sort of been this next man up for this division since like 2021. He was the guy who had 2 wins over Brandon. He was the guy who basically sent Brandon packing out of the UFC after that second win. He had a win over Kai Kara France from The Ultimate Fighter. Like, he's just sort of the man who was continually getting overlooked in these conversations, that sort of unspoken terror, that unheralded terror, the dark horse, if you will, and just kind of sitting there having to wait his turn. And similar with Volk, where like the age is sort of unprecedented in a way of like continuing to do this at the age that he is. Like I was legitimately scared, as someone who has been saying this man was going to be UFC champion for like 2 or 3 years now. I was scared by the time this fight came that he had almost gotten Tony Ferguson out and sort of landed in that Tony Ferguson zone where he just ultimately missed his window. And by the time the actual chance to fight for the title came, it was just too damn late. And I mean, we're talking about someone who's 33 years old in a flyweight division that just is not kind to people who are 33 years old. And yet Pantoja came out here, did it again. Sometimes a man just has another's number, and he's now 3-0 against Brandon Moreno. And that was a scintillating performance. Dana White sort of hinted in the post-fight press conference that maybe a Moreno 4th fight would be next. I hope that's not the case, because that doesn't make a lot of sense to me, even though this one was very fun. To me, give me Brandon Royval, man. Like, Pantoja versus Brandon Royval feels like it would be the most fun possible. It's just ultimate chaos. I know they might go Amir Al-Bazi for Abu Dhabi because of sort of the regional interest in that regard, but I hope it's Brandon Royval, because to me that would be a potential fight of the year. Like, that's everything that this is, and then you even just splash on a tiny bit more chaos to it. So ultimately, I love it. Fight of the year contender, certainly, and this flyweight division just continues to just be so damn fun for me.
December 16th, 2023, UFC 296, Edwards versus Covington, Las Vegas, Nevada. Pantoja, the new champion, is set to defend his title for the first time in a rematch from less than 18 months ago against Brandon Raw Dog Royval.
You know, when you fight, when you go to octagon, it's 50-50. You know, it's only about you and your opponent. You know, I think that's the beautiful thing in MMA. You know, I know how good Royval is. I fight with him, and make a very good grappling. He's very good grappling. In the first round, everybody can watch a high-level grappling with me and him. And when I go to octagon, I don't want to make mistakes. You know, I'm very aggressive, and I train too much all my life. You know, I train in jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai. When I'm very young, my master, Muay Thai master, bring me to a lot of gyms, and I fight with everybody in these gyms. You know, for 100 times, and this make me very prepared and ready to this moment I live right now. You know, it doesn't matter who go to another corner of the octagon, I'm ready to fight. You know, all the time. If you watch me, my fights is live or die for me.
I just want to prove how good I am, and I come for take the pound for pound. You know, maybe people don't understand, but I'm fucking good fighter, you know, and I'm gonna prove that all the time.
Pantoja successfully defends his title via unanimous decision and moves to 2-0 versus Royval.
I don't expect war like that, you know, again, you know, but that's the flyweight division, you know, all the guys so prepared for that moment, you know, and all my respect for Brandon Royval. I shake him a couple times, you know, especially in the first rounds. I kick him so hard in the ribs. I don't know how he's keep coming, you know. I have a very good kick. And I'm glad to can show you more my strike in that fight, you know. Of course, my grappling make me steal, but I can show more my striking game, you know. And I shake him a couple times with my right hand. And but that's it, you know. Brandon Royval coming with the prime time. And I respect he deserved all my respect because he's still coming, you know. He don't give up any round, you know. I tried to katagatame, I tried to neither choke. I'm really close to finishing him. And I make a lot of power, a lot of stretching in that moment. I talk with my coach how he don't tap, you know. And that's it, very, very respect for him. And that moment proved me what when I'm young and I watch a lot of movies like Van Damme, Joker Van Damme, Sylvester Stallone, and my wish is I want to fight with the best fighter in the world, and now I'm here, you know, fight with the best fighters in the world.
May 4th, 2024, UFC 301, Pantoja versus Erceg, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. In a surprising booking, the UFC announces that Alexandre Pantoja will headline his first pay-per-view, an attempt to defend his title against Steve Erceg in Brazil. Erceg earns his first UFC title shot less than a year after making his octagon debut.
I never fight in Brazil for UFC. And now back to Rio, like a champ, in the top of the world. That's so cool for me. And for everyone helping me to come to that place, you know. Super excited for that. And I already beat all the guys in the front line. Royval, Moreno, Almir have injury. I think Erceg is very lucky, you know. But his luck is going to finish May 4, you know, because he fight with me. Yeah, I think I never imagined it with that this happen, you know. Last year, I'm here to see Moreno in Davidson. I'm a backup guy to that fight. And I think maybe this happened, you know. Maybe God have something good for me. But now it's better, you know, because you see my name in the banner. I make the main event. That's so cool, you know. I never dream with that because we can dream. Nobody can dream with that. Be a champion and back to your city to fight for the title. That's very good opportunity for me. And the energy for the crowd, it's so amazing, you know. I expect to give it back to all the energy, you know. I want everybody to smile after my fight.
Pantoja retains the title after defeating Erceg in a competitive and entertaining unanimous decision.
That's my third fight in last 1 year. You know, I make 15 rounds in last 1 year. I make 75 minutes in the octagon. You know, that's huge. You know, I love all my 3 last fights. You know, for the titles. I love watching Pantoja and Moreno. That's so amazing fight. I love watching me versus Royval. That's so technical. I make 5-0, and then we have Pantoja versus Sagan Rio. Amazing fight. I watched the fight this morning, and I love what I watch. You know, very interesting fight. You see, I tried to finish him a couple times in the first round. He's so tough. He back for me, and you know, I'm super glad with I'm super proud of myself. You know?
December 7th, 2024. UFC 310, Pantoja versus Asakura, Las Vegas, Nevada. After the original welterweight championship main event of Bilal Muhammad versus Shavkat Rakhmonov was canceled, the UFC decides to book Alexandre Pantoja in his second straight pay-per-view main event. This time, he will defend his championship against Japanese star Kai Asakura, who will not only be making his UFC debut in a championship bout, but this will also be his first time fighting outside of Asia.